making a skillet queso. I'm not using Velveeta cheese. I am actually making it from scratch. I am starting with 4 cups of evaporated milk. You can get it at the store. I buy Carnation. I typically use Eagle, but Eagle only had 1 can there. I bought Carnation. You can use any type of evaporated milk. Make sure you get evaporated milk and not condensed milk. There is a difference because condensed milk, can't imagine a sweet queso. I can't imagine the taste of that. But hey, whatever you want. If you are not going to use evaporated milk, I would suggest you make a roux. Roux are very easy to make. Use 1/4 cup of butter, 4 heaping tablespoons of flour. Go ahead and mix those together until they're very smooth. And then you can go ahead and put in 4 cups of milk. 2% milk. I typically use whole milk. I like the full fat in my skillet queso. So you choose. And then I usually go ahead and while the evaporated milk is heating up to melt the cheese, I typically go ahead and I only use pepper only. I typically do not use salt in a queso mix. You can use salt. There's nothing wrong with that. I don't do it because the cheese is very salty. And once your evaporated milk or your milk mixture warms up, go ahead and start putting in your cheeses. I use 3 types of cheeses in this. I use pepper jack, a pound of pepper jack cheese that I shredded. I use a pound of yellow American cheese and 1/4 pound of white American cheese. So go ahead and put that in a little bit at a time so it melts. I'm going to start with the pepper jack cheese since it's shredded. I hope everyone had a wonderful New Year's Eve. I will tell you, I was up last night watching with my husband after the Miami Hurricanes beat the Ohio State Buckeyes, and we were up very late because my husband was so pumped and so excited, and so we were up very late. I have found myself sleeping most of the day, and I was actually going to make this earlier today for the bowl games today. And I guess my daughter told me that Oregon beat Texas Tech, so Oregon moves on. And as I'm stirring this, you want to make sure the cheese is fully melted before you add more cheese to this, because this needs to be smooth and silky to put chips in, quite frankly. Now what I'm going to do in the description is go ahead and put in a link for Pampered Chef if anyone wants to order any. If you don't want to order some, that's fine. I just want to give you the opportunity if you're interested. The skillet I am using is a Pampered Chef skillet. I absolutely love it. My measuring cup is from Pampered Chef. I absolutely love the spatula. One of the things we were making the other night is chili, and I was using an off-brand spatula, and part of it chipped off into the chili, so you had to find it and throw whatever it was out. And that's why I always like Pampered Chef. I mean, I have 2 separate spatulas here. One I bought 2-3 years ago, and one I bought about in the 80s, I've been told. So they're both very good. It's still holding up, and I send everything through the dishwasher. Hello, thank you for joining. I am making a skillet queso. I started with 4 cups of evaporated milk. And once the evaporated milk warmed up, I went ahead and put in a pound of pepper jack cheese. I have a pound of yellow American cheese and 1/4 pound of white American cheese. I'm putting in the cheese, slice at a time. Letting that dissolve. I use Boar's cheese. You can use pretty much any kind of cheese you want. I would suggest you get the deli cheese. Kraft cheese, I don't know if that's really cheese. I mean, it tastes great. I grew up on it, but it does not melt nicely. So I go ahead and use Boar's cheese. I would suggest you get cheese from the deli. It melts easier, whereas Kraft cheese does not. You can also get the shredded American cheese. You can go ahead and put that in there. I would not suggest using a sharp cheese. I would suggest you using American cheese in this. And you just put the cheese in a little bit at a time so it can melt down. And once the cheese melts, I'm going to go ahead and put in the beef mixture. It is 1.5 pounds of meat. You can use you can use turkey if you want. I use beef. You can use sausage if you want. It's your decision. I went ahead and cooked it up, and I used 2 packets of taco seasoning for the seasoning. And I will put that in with my rotel. I use the no salted kind because there's so much salt in cheese as it is. I do not use Velveeta. There's nothing wrong with Velveeta. I'm just not a fan of it. That is me. And you can see the cheese is melting nicely. I'm putting in the white American cheese. In the description, I'll go ahead and put in the ingredients for this. This is my daughter's creation. She came up with this. She absolutely loved Chili's queso, and Chili's has not been doing well lately, so she came up with this recipe. This is her recipe, so I'm making it for her, so she can eat it with the Alabama game. Hello, I'm making skillet queso. I'm not using Velveeta. I am actually using American cheese, melting this. And you can see the mixture is getting very cheesy. It's because we put 3 different types of cheese in here. We put 1 pound of pepper jack, 1 pound of yellow American, and 1/4 pound of white American to 4 cups of evaporated milk. Once the cheese melts fully down, I'm going to go ahead and add in the beef mixture. That is 1.5 pounds of beef. You can also use a turkey. You can use sausage if you want. Really, it's your decision on what kind of meat you want to go ahead and put in here. I would suggest when you're making this to use American cheese versus the Kraft. Did anyone watch the game last night? The after show, Ryan Day, he was so unclassy, and Galloway, he really needs to go to some anger management classes, man. His face. You know, you're an ESPN analysis, and if you don't like a team, that's okay. You don't have to like a team. But you need to be show unbiased when you're doing your job. So now I'm going to go ahead and put in the beef mixture. And when you do make your beef, go ahead and make sure that everything is drained really well. You don't want it to have a lot of grease in there. Go ahead and drain it. I would, after you make your beef, I would go ahead and send it through a colander to go ahead and make sure that it's evaporated nicely. Once I put that in, hello everybody, I am making skillet queso. I started with 4 cups of evaporated milk, and I added in a pound of shredded pepper jack cheese, a pound of yellow American, and a 1/4 pound of white American cheese. I would suggest if you get the cheese, do not use the Kraft version at all. Go ahead and buy some from the deli. I like boar's head personally, but you don't have to use boar's head. I do not like to make a queso with Velveeta. This is my daughter's recipe. She came up with this because she really liked the chilies skillet. And once you put the beef in, I use rotel seasoning. No sugar added. Go ahead and put that in. Mix it up. Like I said earlier, I probably would not put any salt in this mixture just because the cheese is so salty. And if you add more salt on it, you're welcome to. I usually just put pepper in it. And I'm gonna let this continue to cook down so it gets a little bit thicker. It will thicken as it stands. Let me go ahead and taste it. I like the scoop version typically, but these were 20% more for the same price, so I'm gonna go ahead and buy the cheaper ones. Let's see what this tastes like. I will put the recipe in the description, so if you guys want, if you guys want the recipe, it will be in the description. This way you have it. That's good. I'm going to continue to, wow, that is really good. I'm going to continue to let it cook down some more. I am good today. Did everyone have a great New Year's Eve? I will tell you, last night we watched my husband was so pumped after the Miami Hurricanes Ohio State game that I was up very late with him. And I'm glad you had a great New Year's. And this morning I just did not want to get up, but I have animals, and my animals want to get up early and go outside, so I took them out. I got up early and took them outside, and we went out to breakfast. I intended to make this earlier, but I did not make it earlier, and my daughter's Alabama game is coming on at 4 o'clock. So I wanted to go ahead and have this skillet queso made for her, so she would have it for her Alabama game. And there you have it, everybody. This is the skillet queso. I'm going to go ahead and let it continue to boil down. Thank you for watching my live stream. Like I said, I'll go ahead and put the recipe in the description, and this way you can go ahead and have it and make it anytime you want. I do not use Velveeta. It's really good.